Hey guys, it's Demi from Demi's Divine Designs, and today we're going to be making a bag that I just had to get. My full-time job is running an ice cream shop in my local area, so this bag from K.AZCONA, I am not sure if I'm saying that correctly, but I'll put the name down here and the links and everything, was meant for me to make. We are making the one scoop bag, which looks like this. It is a cute little ice cream and it's a bag and I had to have it. It was made for me to make. So we're going to hop into doing this today. For this version of the bag that we're doing, you're not only going to need the original pattern for the bag, you are also going to need the add-ons because we're going to do the drippy top. This add-on pack is so cute. There are tons of different variations that you can do for this top scoop, tons of different like styles. There's like the drip one. I had to fight my urge to do the Disney version one because I think all I do is Disney bags. So let's just do a basic ice cream one today. So we're going to hop into it and I'm going to show you guys the materials that I'm going to be using today, the hardware. There's really not much for this one, so this should be a quick one. Let's hop into it and I'll show you what we're using. For this bag, I'm going to be using 3 different exterior pieces. All of these are going to be vinyls. For my main bottom panel, and one of the back panels, I'm going to be using this Waffle Cone vinyl. I don't remember where I got it from, but I got this from the same place I got this, and I don't remember where that was. This is a cute little drippy ice cream vinyl. I am 90% sure that I bought this vinyl with the anticipation of making this bag with it, so yay! And then for my back panel, because I ran out of my waffle cone, I'm using this vinyl. This is just marine vinyl that I got from Joann's. For the few lining pieces that there are in this bag, I'm going to be using a waterproof, water-resistant canvas. Since I don't like interfacing things and I wanted this to be a quick bag, I figured the water-resistant canvas would be perfect for the lining. And there's only 3 pieces of the lining that you have to cut, which is awesome. And then for the stabilizer today, we're just going to be using this fusible foam. I got this from my local craft store. You could also get this at like Joann's or any other craft like sewing store that you have in your area. The hardware and other materials that we're going to be needing for this bag are going to be a zipper. I'm using a number 5 with a number 5 pull. Hardware, you're going to need a slider, 2 rectangle rings, and 2 clasps. I'm using 1 inch for this material size, but the pattern does recommend that you use 3/4 of an inch. Since I'm using 1 inch webbing, I need 1 inch hardware. Keep that in mind when picking out your webbing and your hardware. Whatever your webbing is, your hardware has to be, and there's only one piece that needs to be adjusted based on what size material that is, and I'll go over that when we're looking at the pattern pieces. You're going to need your webbing cut to the size that they tell you in the pattern. You're going to need your thread. I'm using Tex 45 weight Fairy Floss thread from Wizardry Stitchery. I'm using that in the top of my machine and the bottom. Since I'm using an industrial machine, it can handle this. Keep that in mind when deciding if you can put that in your bobbin. We're going to need double-sided tape. There are some sections of this pattern where that is very helpful, and not just because I have a tape addiction, it's actually helpful. A pair of scissors to help trim up certain things. Writing utensils, I'm going to have a chalk marker and a air erasable marker. Clips, always necessary, can always find a reason for them, good to have. My tag is from Heartwood and Hide. I will have the link below. We are also going to be needing a magnetic snap. I'm using a rivet magnetic snap that I got from Cam Snaps. And for that snap, I'm also going to need my cam press, the hole punch die, and the cam press magnetic snap setting die. That is all the hardware. For the front of your bag, you're going to need your bottom piece and your top scoop piece. This is the piece that we're using the additional add-on for, since I wanted to have these cute little drips. If you're going to use the basic single scoop top, then you do not need the add-on piece. Since I'm doing a fancy top, add-on is necessary. For the back of the bag, there are a few different variations that you can do determining what pieces you're going to need. Since I'm doing both a zipper pocket and a slip pocket, I need both of these pieces. So for your back piece, if you're doing the zipper, you're going to need your back piece with the zipper cutout. And then for our slip pocket piece, we're going to need the back pocket piece cut out of your exterior as well. Other pieces that you're going to need from your exterior fabric are going to be your rectangle ring holders and your magnetic snap tabs pieces. These pieces would be really cool if you were able to use like the wallet tabs that are like from Creations by Connie. Those look like this, where they have like the tab going out, or in that case it'll be this way, tab going out, the cute little design, and they have the spot showing you where your snap goes. This pattern would be a great way to use these. For your lining pieces, again, this is all determined based on what version of the bag you are going to be doing. If you're going to be doing just the zipper pocket, you would only need the zipper pocket pieces, which are these two. If you're doing just the slip pocket, you would only need the slip pocket lining. So keep those in mind. Since we are doing both, we need both our 2 zipper pocket pieces and our 1 slip pocket piece. For the foam pieces, this again is also determined based on which version of the bag you're doing. Since we're doing both, we're rocking both types. No matter what, you're going to mean your main front piece. This is going to be your foam that's going to go on the front section of your bag with the scoop. Depending on if you're doing a basic version or an add-on, this may change, because if you're doing the Mickey Mouse one, this is going to have the Mickey Mouse ears and it's going to be bigger. So you're going to need a different piece if you're using that one. For this bag, we're just using the regular one. And then for the back, you're going to need 1 piece for your bottom, 1 on the top. Since we're doing the zipper pocket, that's why we need it this way. If we were just doing a slip pocket, we would cut 2 of these. And that's all the pieces that we need. Now we're going to move on to constructing our bag. Okay, so the pattern has you start by prepping your D-ring connectors. This is where we're going to have to make some of our changes, since I'm using 1-inch hardware instead of 3/4 inch as the pattern recommends. The only difference that I'm going to make is how I'm going to fold these edges in. I'm not going to fold them in toward the center like usual. I am just going to fold them in about 1/4 of an inch, since doing that will make it so it fits over the ring perfectly. And to do that, I'm going to use double-sided tape. I'm going to use 1/4 inch double-sided tape and just ride that along the edge of my connectors on both of the long sides, like so. And then I'm just going to peel off the tape and fold my vinyl right along the edge of that tape. So I'm just going to take it and go like this. Same on the other side. And go like this. So my edges are not going to meet in the middle, which is going to be fine. They're going to be encased like that anyway. So double checking. Yes, that is perfect. Once you get that like that, make sure it fits, which we are good. Put that to the side and do the same on the other piece, flipping it over to the wrong edge and taking your double-sided tape along the long edges on both sides of your D-ring connector, or rectangle ring in my case. Pow. And then same thing, peel off your paper and fold your edges right on the edge of that tape. If you were using cotton or some type of ironable material, you could just fold that and iron it. You wouldn't have to use the double-sided tape. Or you could even just clip it. You don't even need to use the double-sided tape at all. Again, I have a double-sided tape addiction, so I find any and every excuse to use it. Double check that that one goes over your ring as well. You don't have too much slop in there, which we are good. So now we're going to head over to the sewing machine and we are going to stitch along the folded edge on both sides of both of the D-ring connectors. Once you have that stitched, you can go ahead and trim off any threads you have, and we are going to wrap these connectors around our rings, clipping them into place and putting them to the side for now. So clip like that. Same on the other side. Clip. You could take this to the sewing machine and baste along this edge. I don't see it necessary, so I'm just going to put these to the side and we'll come back to those later. The next thing that we're going to work on is prepping our strap. So grab your strap, your adjustable slider, and your clasp. I'm also going to use rivets for this spot, so grab rivets, your rivet hole punch die, and your setting die. Forgot to mention those earlier. All right, for your strap, what you're going to do is take one edge of your strap. Make sure if you're using seatbelt webbing, you have this melted down with a lighter. I did that previously, so we're good. What we're going to do now is we're going to take our adjustable slider. If you have a right or a wrong side of your webbing, make sure you're doing this with the right side facing your table. Pull your webbing up in between the middle and your top, and then loop it down. And right here is where we're going to put our rivets. I like to have about 1 inch to 1.5 inches of webbing hanging down. And we're going to poke 2 holes, one near the top and one closer near the adjustable slider, which is what we're going to hold down in rivets. Clip that into place while you set up your press. Once your press is set, go ahead and poke those holes. You can measure, draw your lines how you want them. I'm just going to eyeball it. So that looks good. 1 hole. Little closer. 2 hole. And then we can melt these down, which I'm going to do. Then you can melt those down because we did just create a hole in the webbing. Careful with this, do not burn your hand. It is quite easy to do so. I like to burn both sides. And then take your rivets and just clip those on. We're not going to secure those quite yet. I will secure them when we have all 4 of them ready to go. So clip that into place. Like that. Then you're going to stretch out your webbing, keeping it nice and straight. Take one of your clasps and make sure you have it where the clasp part is going away from the right side of your fabric and the back edge is going to be on the back side of your fabric. So this is the right side, we'll call it. That's the wrong side. You can't really tell with this one, but pick a side if you can't tell or if you have one. This is the right side of my fabric. Back here is the back. Slide that on, keeping your strap nice and straight. Getting it like that, where you have your clasp and the hook. Then keeping the strap straight, we are going to feed this over. We're going to feed this in, going up. Then loop it over the center bar, like so. So we have, right now we have our clasp here, wrapped in our webbing, going over our adjustable slider. Then move that to the side, keeping your webbing nice and straight. Take your take your clasp, slide that over. Again, this is the right side, back here is the wrong side. Fold that to the wrong side, about 1 to 1.5 inches. And we're going to repeat the same process and poke 2 holes right along the center, one towards the edge, one closer towards the hardware. And then we're going to melt those down, since we did just make holes in webbing, and webbing can fray over time. Perfect. And then we're gonna clip our rivets into place. Like so. Now we're gonna switch our dies on our press so we can set these rivets. All right, once you have those set, to set the rivets that are over by the adjustable slider, I like to take the edge that isn't being clipped and kind of just fold that out of my way and slide it under like that. So you have those out and you're just hitting the rivets and what is being riveted closed. Smoosh. Same on the other one. This could get tricky depending on how close you made your hole, but it shouldn't be too bad. Smoosh. And then that is all set and secure on both sides. We're going to do the same for here. Slide that on and set. There we go. So from here, we have our adjustable slider set. Our strap is good to go, and we have our strap connectors set. We're going to move this to the side and get started on building the front portion of the bag. To assemble the front portion of the bag, Kim gives you awesome directions and tips to help do this easily. So for this, you're going to need your front bottom piece, front top piece, and your back panel. Depending on which style that you're using, your back panel and your top piece may look different. No matter what, your front bottom piece is going to look like this. So take some double-sided tape and line it along the top section of the bottom piece. It does not have to be perfect. Just take a couple little pieces and kind of mold it on there. Again, does not need to be perfect. Just going to help with lining up our piece, our top piece, and holding it into place. Like so. And I'm just going to do one more in the corner. Okay. And then what Kim suggests is taking your back panel, laying it wrong side up, taking your top panel and lining that up with your C piece, your back piece, to help keep everything aligned, make sure everything lines up correctly. Then take your top piece and line that up with the little cutouts on your back panel, showing where the top is supposed to line up on the bottom, like that. Once you see that everything lines up, I suggest folding and doing one side at a time to help make sure nothing moves. So pull your tape up off of the one side, and smoosh. Then repeat on the other side, fold up, peel off your tape on the paper on your double-sided tape. And secure that down like that. If you use the original scoop, there was also a line showing you where to bring your top down to. Since we're using the fancy scoop, we couldn't do it that way. So now we're good to move our bottom to our back to the side. We're not going to need that for a few steps. And we're going to head to the sewing machine and we're going to top stitch the top scoop onto the bottom, going at about 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Just take your time with this, go slow. It's fine, it's not a race. This can be very scary, but I have faith in you guys. So just take it one little bit at a time, starting at the corner, going around your drips if you're doing that way, and then stopping at your other corner. All right, once that's attached, your front panel is all set to go. Going through this section was not as difficult as I thought it would be. I highly suggest using either a variegated thread or a thread that matches your fabric, just so it makes it easier for these stitches to kind of blend in case you don't keep a consistent seam allowance or they look a little jagged. It's fine. The next thing that we have to do is we have to attach the foam to the back of this. Now there are a few ways to do this. You can try to iron this on if you would like. I tend to not have good luck with that, so I'm just going to take some 505 spray and on the back of this to keep that on there. And then once you get that all sticky and ready to go, center that on your piece and smoosh that into place. Make sure it's on there pretty good. And then your front panel is completely built. Moving on to the back panel, you're going to need your back piece, a marking utensil, and a ruler. And in the pattern, they give you the measurements where to draw the lines on each side of the zipper hole gap. So take your ruler and measure the 1/2 inch above your zipper gap, draw the line, and repeat the same on the bottom. These lines are going to be where we're going to line up our foam pieces so that then when we sew in our zipper, it's not going to be in the seam allowance, making that section too bulky. Regardless on if you're doing the original scoop piece or if you're using one of the add-ons, your bottom foam piece is going to be the same. The only thing that may be different is the top piece, depending on if you do the Mickey Mouse ears or one of those extras. And we're going to attach both of these on the same way as we did for the front, using 505 spray, getting it all sticky, lining the bottom of the top piece up with the line, then doing the same for the bottom. And doing this, you should roughly have about maybe a 1/2 inch on all sides of your foam. I just eyeballed this and it works fine, so you don't have to be precise. If you would like to, you can gladly draw those out. Once you have your foam lined up how you would like to, we're going to take some double-sided tape and put those directly above the long sides of our zipper opening, allowing us to stick our zipper into place, holding it before we bring it over to the sewing machine. So just take some double-sided tape and go right above and below the opening of the zipper hole. This does not have to be precise, and if you have a machine that doesn't do really well with sewing through double-sided tape, you can even bring this a little bit down to keep it out of your seams. It's honestly up to you, so just do what works. We're going to flip the back panel right side up and grab our zipper to help align everything. When I center my zipper, I like to make sure that my pull is going towards the left when closed. That could just be because I'm left-handed, but whatever works. So for doing this section, I like to do it one side at a time. So peeling the double-sided tape away from the top section, I'm going to make sure that my zipper pull is facing down and center my coils inside of the gap that we created, pulling my tab to make sure it doesn't get stuck anywhere, and making sure that it is straight all the way through. This does not have to be precise. You can always measure and mark if you would like. Me, I just eyeball and let it roll. And then once you have the tape centered how you would like, repeat it for the bottom, peeling the paper off after the tape gives up fighting with me, and center it along the bottom, smushing that into place. And then once that's how you would like it, we're going to move on to getting the zipper pocket pieces prepped. And for prepping your zipper pocket piece, you're going to take both pieces, flip them right side down. For Rax canvas, it's like the darker side, and we're going to take our double-sided tape and run that along the shorter edges of the canvas. You could also just iron this. I just, again, have a double-sided tape addiction, so any chance I can to use it, I'm going to. And we're going to fold this down a 1/2 inch. I'm probably going to go a little bit more than that since I know I have a lot of excess. You could go through and measure the
3/4 inch, 1/2 inch that it says in the pattern, I kind of just take my double-sided tape and use that as a guide and roll it that way. And just fold that over. What this is doing is hiding the raw edge since we're not actually sewing this into a seam. This helps just hide those edges, keep it from fraying with use of the bag. This can again also be done with an iron, just pressing that into place. And uh, water resistant canvas does actually press really well, so you can do whichever way you would like. And we're going to repeat this process for the second pocket piece, doing the tape and folding down. Once you have both of your pocket panels set, what we're going to do is attach those onto our back panel. The pattern does have you do this differently than what I'm doing. It has you do this step one at a time. I'm just going to do it all together just to save on time, and this works well for me. It's completely up to you how you would like to have this done. You do what you want to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to take more double-sided tape, again, double-sided tape problem, and put that along the top edge. I do suggest actually doing it up towards the fold. I did it a little lower, and this does become a problem later on. Not a problem, but more of an annoyance. If you do this right along the fold, you're not going to have the problems that I did, so just keep that in mind. And once you have the tape on, we're going to attach this onto our zipper tape. So peel off your double-sided tape from your pocket piece and flip that wrong sides together with your exterior, centering your pocket piece across your zipper and lining that up where it's kind of close to the coils, but you're not totally covering it because then that'll get the zipper pull stuck as you're using it. So I would give it about 1/4 of an inch to 3/8 of an inch difference so that then it's not going to be getting stuck in your zipper tab. Repeat the process for the top, kind of just like whoosh it the other way, and take the other pocket panel, pull off your double-sided tape, and line that again right sides together along the zipper tape. Making sure when you're centering this on your zipper tape, you are still leaving that 1/4 inch to 3/8 of an inch gap from the folded edge to your zipper coils so it doesn't get stuck in the zipper pull. Once this is set, we're going to bring this over to the sewing machine and we're going to stitch the zipper tape and the pocket pieces on, going at about 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, riding our zipper foot along the opening.
Once you have that set, it is going to look like this, where you have your box going around your zipper. And then on the back, you will see you caught both of your pocket panels. The pattern does have you attach the pocket on slightly different by having you attach the zipper first and then attach the pocket pieces onto just the zipper tape. I like to just do it all in one step. Works good for me. Whatever works for you. There's no right or wrong answer. So for this next step, what we're going to do is we're going to take our top pocket piece, fold that down with our other piece, our other pocket piece. We're going to flip this over and we are going to trim off the excess of pocket piece that is in our way, clipping the two pockets together. So grab your scissors and trim. I'm just going to use my exterior piece as my guide for trimming down my pocket pieces. Not lining it with the scoop cutout, just lining it with everything else. Cutting around, pa-pow. So now when we lay that down, it should go, no, I'm just gonna flip it this way. That'll be easier. Like that. And I am just gonna clip this into place since I got the one side done. Clip. Okay. For this spot where the one pocket is shorter than the other, I'm just going to cut right along there. It does tell you to do this in the pattern as well. And then same on the other side. I'm going to flip this way, just use that as a guide to trim this side down. Making sure you're not trimming your foam or anything else, just the zipper pocket piece and the zipper tape. Like that. And clip that into place as well. Okay, and my zipper tape is a little out on this end, so pew. And then just flipping over to double check that all that's covered. Yep. Once you have that trimmed how you like it, what we're going to do is we're going to head over to the sewing machine. We're going to start stitching on this side, go down on the pocket piece, go across, go up the pocket piece, pretty much closing all of this up. Perfect. Once you have that set, it is going to look like this, where you have your pocket completely covered by your exterior. And when you flip it over, your sides of your pocket are all stitched down. You can double check and make sure that your pocket works. Hand in the hole, beam, 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 and all good. If you were just doing the slip pocket, you did not have to do this part. We are now going to move on to doing the slip pocket portion. So move that to the side. We're going to need that in a minute. Grab your 2 magnetic snap pieces, your back bottom exterior, your back bottom lining, and your snap pieces. The first thing we're going to do is attach these two. I'm going to take some double-sided tape and just put this on the center. This is just going to help me line it up. I'm not going to go all the way down because I got to save a spot for where my hole's going to be for my magnetic snap. And then I'm going to peel the paper off and line the second tab on top of the first one. I like to start at the rounded edge, since that is what everybody is going to see, and bring that to there so it is even around. And what we're going to do is head over to the sewing machine and top stitch along these edges at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, just riding our presser foot along the edge. Once you have that done, we're going to go ahead and flush up these edges, but don't have it where like you're cutting a little bit here and then I got to cut a little off the other side. Just take your scissors and smooth up the edges. I like to take a little bit off of both the top and the bottom just to make sure that they're going to be flush. I don't worry so much about the top since that's going to be hidden in a seam. So when looking at it, all of your edges should be flush. You can go through and edge coat this if you would like. I'm going to skip that for right now. I'll probably come back and edge coat it later, but for right now, I'm just going to let it rock. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put on our magnetic snap onto this portion of the tab. So to get the portion of the snap onto this tab, grab your hole punch die and put a hole in the center of the round part. I'm actually just going to go right here where that little waffle cone dent is, just right there at the bottom of the drip. Once you're set, line up your press and pow. And then you'll have a nice hole. Grab your female side of your snap. That's the one that has like the indent in where it's not sticking out. Choose a side to be your top and your bottom. I actually like this one as my top. So we're going to load the female end of the snap on the bottom, pushing out, and the rivet is going to go on the top. Snap that into place, and then we are going to set this this part of the snap, using the magnetic snap die. So when using the magnetic snap die, the rivet portion of the die gets screwed onto the top, since that's the one that you're not going to change in between the different sides of the die. And since we're doing the female side of the snap, which is where it caves in instead of pokes out, we're going to use the male side of the press, where this is poking out instead of recessing in. Place that on the bottom, and then take your female side of the snap, right side down, sitting that into the press, and set the rivet like you would a regular rivet. Swoosh. Peel off, and your female part of the snap is all set to go. Now move your press to the side. We're going to need it in a little bit, but for right now, just move it out of the way. And we're going to line up our two edges of our bottom pieces. We're going to go right side together. So if you're using a water resistant canvas, the shiny waxy side is the wrong side. And we are going to line this straight edge at the top along here, clip that into place. Once you have those two clipped together, we're going to stitch along this top seam at a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Once you have that stitched, we're going to fold everything wrong sides together. You can clip in place if you would like, or if you have fabric that can be pressed, you can take this to an iron, push out that seam, clip, and if you want to clip along the folded edge, you can do that as well. And everything should line up with your exterior and your lining. You shouldn't have anything poking out of any edge, like so. Then we're going to head back to the sewing machine, and we're going to do a top stitch 1/8 of the way across this edge. I'm basically just going to ride my presser foot along the top, securing this fold in place. Once you have that set, it is going to look like this, where your top is stitched down, your exterior and your lining match up perfectly. And now what we're going to do is we're going to attach the other end of our magnetic snap. In the pattern, she tells you to find your center. I'm just going to crease it, since cutting into that would be a bad idea. That would defeat what we just did. So crease your center, measure down 1 inch like it says in the pattern, and mark your center. I'm just going to take my stiletto and just peel like that, showing that is my mark. You guys can't see it, but it's right there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to poke a hole, but we are only poking it through the exterior. So we're just going to fold our lining out of the way and poke our hole on our mark using our press. So find your hole. Ba-bam. Like that. So you see the hole, and you see that you can see the lining. I'm also going to put a hole in some extra vinyl, just so I can beef up this section to make sure it's nice and sturdy, and it's not going to come out over time. She does recommend that you do this in the pattern as well. Then you're going to take your snap, take the male end of your snap and stick it in that hole you just made, as well as taking your extra vinyl and sticking it through there. Then take your rivet section and pop that into place, like so. And then we're going to set that using the opposite side of the setting die. Once you have your dies in, take your magnetic snap portion and load that in the bottom die, and your rivet should be exposed on the top. There we go, and snap into place. There we go, and all set. The pattern does have you do the female end on this section. I don't think it makes that big of a difference which one you do. Just whichever one, make sure you set it using the correct dies. And then at this point, the pattern says if you have a label, this is the perfect spot to put it directly under your snap. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to take some double-sided tape just along the center of my tag, holding it into place, allowing me to center it. I'm just going to find my center of my tag, click, click, and line that up with the center mark that we have for our magnetic snap. Peel the paper off. Now that's centered. Okay, awesome. And then I'm just going to top stitch around my tag. Again, only doing the exterior. I'm going to pull my lining out of the way and stitch. Okay, once you have your tag stitched on, we are set to prep the back panel for final assembly. So take your slip pocket piece, your zipper pocket piece, and your snap tab, and we're going to line the slip pocket on top of the zipper, making sure everything lines up, and we're going to clip into place. So grab a huge helping eclipse and go around the side, clipping into place, holding everything together. Okay, once you get the one side on, repeat the process to the other side and make sure that your pocket panel is staying where it should. So once you have that clipped, it should look like this, where all of your edges are meeting up and you have everything in your clips. I missed my pocket on a few of these. There we go. Like that. Then to clip your strap, connect it on to the other side, flip, and then I like to give it a little bit of like buckle out, fold it over, and then stick 2 clips, one on each side here. You could also use double side tape to hold that into place, but I'm just going to clip for right now. Once you have that where you like it, you can pull that out of the way so it looks like this. And that is the back piece. The next thing that we're going to do is attach our rectangle connectors. Okay, so for this section, she tells you the distance that they should be apart, which should be 4 inches. So take your ruler, measure 4 inches to the side, and then take your connector, and we're going to slide it under so it sticks up the measurement that it tells you in the pattern, which honestly, I think that is perfect. I'm going to remove my clip and re-clip it the same way that I'm clipping those. Clip your strap connectors on the same way that you're connecting your magnetic strap connector. There it is. And then same thing, binding that, sliding that under, clip into place. Once you have the back panel all clipped together, what we're going to do now is flip everything over so we're looking at the wrong side of our back panel. Grab your front panel and include that into your clips. For this bag, we are not turning it right side out. We are just stitching it just how it is.
So make sure everything is lined up the best that you can get it and include it into your clips. Right here, my lining sticks out a bit too much into my seam allowance for my liking, so I'm just going to trim that down. Not cutting into my stitches, just trimming that out of my seam so I can clip this down better. Okay. And then once you have that clipped, we are good for the final step, which is going through and stitching this entire section together. I am going to trim up my zipper a little bit more so it's more in the seam instead of being out of the seam. Giving that a nice trim. So when this is closed, you're not even going to see it. That's what I want. I'm going to do the same on the other side. And I'm just trimming enough to get it out of my seam, not enough to cut through the stitches. Clip that down, and everything should be lined up nice. Once you're set with how your seams are looking, everything's hidden that you want hidden, everything's out that you want out, we are good to head over to the sewing machine and stitch along all edges at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. All right, I did sew a little more than 1/8 of an inch seam allowance just because I knew that my fabric was going to shift. So I am going to do the same thing that I did for the magnetic snap tab. I'm going to trim flush where my seams got a little messed up. This is not recommended in the pattern. This is just because I like to make sure everything is perfect. So grab scissors and trim only where it's sticking out. Now, did my connectors shift when stitching? Yes, they did, but it's fine. She does suggest in the pattern that you use like double-sided tape or a different way of clipping it to keep everything in place while you're sewing so nothing shifts. I took a risk and they shifted, but it's fine. It's honestly not that bad of a shift. All right, once you get that all trimmed up, this pattern is perfect for edge coating. Just for time reasons, I am not gonna show you edge coating. If that's something you'd be interested in seeing on how to edge coat a bag like this, let me know and I will gladly do a video on it. But technically, your bag is done. You have your magnetic slip pocket. That is a nice deep pocket that like goes up my arm a good ways. You have the zipper pocket that goes in. Let's attach the strap and then we'll go over the final review. So grab your strap and clip that onto your connectors. And she is done. Review time. And our ice cream bag is finished. This came together so quickly. It was very simple to make. And even with it having both the slip pocket and the zipper pocket, it was very simple to make. This is definitely a beginner friendly bag, especially if you know how to work with vinyl and how to just take your time going around curves. Just take it one stitch at a time. Anybody can make this bag. Kim did a fantastic job putting this pattern together. And if you use the different add-ons for the scoops that she has on the add-on pack, you can make this so pretty.
because there's the drippy one that we did here, there's the melty one, there is like a skeleton face, there's the Mickey Mouse ears. She has a ton of different versions for this top scoop that helps bring this bag just a little notch cuter, each different type. And to also help like zhuzh up the bag, you could go through and do edge coating on the outer section of the bag as well as the tab. And for the tabs, you can go through and take the like wallet tabs or the notebook tabs that embroidery shops may have, like Creations by Connie has a ton of them. Crashing Waves, I think they might have some, but don't quote me on that one. I definitely know Creations by Connie does because I buy like all of them. But that would be great to do here. This is definitely a beginner friendly bag, and I highly recommend you guys try it. If you definitely want to speed up your process for prepping this, use the cut files that Kim provides when you purchase the pattern for like your Cricut, your Silhouette, or the other cutting machines that you have. I was able to cut pretty much all of my pattern pieces out using my Cricut, except for the foam. It could just be that I don't know how to cut the foam out on the Cricut. If you know how to do that, please let me know. I would love to try it again without mangling my foam to death like I did today. But that doesn't matter. It's fine. It worked. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you guys would like, comment, subscribe, I'd appreciate it. It does help the channel out a lot. And I like talking with you guys. It's fun. Thank you so much, Kim at K.AZCONA Designs. I am so sorry if I'm saying that wrong. I am going to just spell it out at the bottom, give you the links to her page, for allowing me to show how to make your bags. Your patterns are so cute. I cannot wait to play with all of them. This is going to be, I'm going to have so many of these. I'm going to have them everywhere. It's going to be a problem, but it is fine. Thank you guys for hanging out today. I hope to see you on the next one. Have a nice one.